And welcome back to the Cantina Club, where we're now doing our weekly episode recaps and thoughts, discussion about the latest episode of Ahsoka. This week is episode 4, Fallen Jedi. So let's just jump right in and get our first impressions. I
I
guess.
want to go first. I want to go first.
Oh, okay. Well, there we go. We have a
Jeez.
volunteer.
I
Let her
don't
out.
know.
Let her out of the spice mines for a second, and she
Yeah,
just.
Yeah, and
yeah,
she goes
yeah.
crazy. All right,
Okay,
Gundark, what you got
quit.
for us?
I just want to say that this is definitely the episode I've been looking for. Even Obi-Wan Kenobi's Jedi mind trick didn't convince me otherwise. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Great lightsaber fighting, wonderful interactions between heroes and villains. Uh, Wonderful work with Ray Stevenson as the villain, and a super ending that was a surprise to me, despite some things about it that I expected. So really enjoyed it. It's about time it picked up some energy, so it was good.
Okay, excellent. My first impressions were it was definitely my favorite episode of the series so far. I enjoyed the action. I enjoyed the pacing much better in this episode. Like you were saying, I enjoyed the dueling, the lightsaber fights that we got in this episode. I thought they were great, and yeah, the ending was unexpected. But even though we kind of knew that character was going to show up at some point, it was nice to actually see it happen. And we, of course, got something that a certain Rodian predicted last week
Oh, okay.
absolutely not happen. And
Okay, before that Rodian speaks, I gotta jump in and say this because I was gonna wait until we talk about the end of this episode, but that Rodian, there he goes, you coward.
yeah, he runs and hides.
You are going to eat the words that came out of your snout 2 weeks ago because these were the exact words, and I quote, this was about
I hear nothing. There's
no,
something
it's
very
not
weak
weak.
coming
It's
through.
not weak coming through. This is what you said very loudly. Whenever I said I thought the world between worlds was going to be in this show, you said this is not going to be in the show. This is
Yep.
like the biggest MacGuffin disappointment ever. Fandom everywhere was convinced that this had bleep all to do with the world between all bleeping worlds. It had not one damn thing to do with it, not one. It collapsed. It's gone. It's nowhere to be freaking found. It's not appearing in this film. Just get over it.
Just
Those
get
were
over
the
it, yeah.
words that came out of
Just
your
get over
snout.
it.
And you can start eating now. And I hear that Rodian snout pairs really nicely with a nice kill. So you better
Roasted
get on
Rodian
it.
snout.
where do you see this world between worlds that you're talking about? Where?
Oh, wow.
No, I'll stand on by that one more week. I'm fine with standing
Oh, so you think
because I don't
that's
see
not
any
it.
world.
Okay.
She fell to the bottom of the ocean, is what I saw.
She's at
She
the
fell to the
bottom of
bottom.
the
She's in the Gungan. It looked like the Gungan hometown to me, like a dome, like some kind of force field under the ocean. Anakin might be living under the ocean for all we know.
I think that's probably
He's
it.
probably
You
Jar
are
Jar.
in
Jar Jar
denial.
probably saved him, and took him down to the Gungan land or whatever.
Yeah. I
No,
think
I'm
so.
just saying
You are
it
in
probably is
denial.
the world between worlds, but
You're just saying.
but I don't know. She didn't say. Nobody showed up and said,
Say on.
"Welcome
Say
to
on.
the world between worlds." No one did any of that.
I
So,
told you you don't have the world between worlds with Ahsoka having her life saved in it in the previous series, and then have a series called Ahsoka without the world between worlds making an appearance in it.
well, why don't I call
So
it Titus
it's gonna-
Welliver and see what his opinion of it is? We did have dinner with him after all.
We did. Yep. We hung out for 3 days.
So you tell
I'm just
me,
saying, someone here is more gullible than others. So you want to believe that's the world between worlds just because you see some kind of
someone here
some
thinks they know
unidentified special
everything.
effect. There's some special effect that is unidentified as of yet, and there's some kind of figure with some kind of weird, facial.
Okay, I
thing
call
going
upon the
on,
editor to
hanging
throw
out.
up 2 images of the world between worlds between the 2
And
series,
just because
and
someone
we'll
calls
see.
someone
Duly
Snips, that
noted.
doesn't make them Anakin either, right? Just because you know the word Snips doesn't make you Anakin. So
That makes you
It could
Anakin.
be. It
it does
could be
not
a
make you Anakin.
Do we want to hold off on discussing what that means until
Yes, for
Yeah,
we
now.
yeah.
talk about the
Yeah,
other
No, I
part
get
of
what
the
you're saying. I
episode? Yeah,
forgot,
because I have some questions about.
like all my rants, I forgot I went off about that because it was just incidental. There, I really thought there was going to be no world between worlds because I was linking it to the trailers. Everybody said the hologram in the trailer was the world between was like a map to the world between worlds. Or they're not
Yeah,
looking for the world between worlds so far.
No.
If Balon is looking for it, he's looking in the wrong place because he just kicked Ahsoka into it. You know, it's
Yeah.
like he'd be better off diving after her and hanging onto her ankle or something to get there. But so I get it. I was wrong. I will eat the words, serve them up however you wish. I will eat them right here next week or whatever. You send them by
with
mail.
your nice Chianti.
If you'll send some Corky's ribs with them, though, that will help a lot.
I'll choose. Okay, I will, and I'll choose a nice
But no,
wine
I
to
think
pair with
I
it.
was wrong. And if I was wrong, I'm glad I was wrong. I kind of like the world between worlds, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do with it. I just hope they're all things in moderation. I hope they leave it as still a mystery. I really think they will. I don't think
Yeah.
Anakin's going to come out and go, "Let me draw you a diagram, snips in the stars here of exactly how all this shit works," you know. And it'll all the mystery be gone. I don't think so. But I am since we mentioned it, I am suspicious of this Anakin immediately. Especially
I
since they
am
played
too.
the Darth Vader
Yeah.
theme
Oh, yeah.
immediately afterwards.
Mhm.
Yeah. But anyway, so my
Yeah.
we were going to say my initial thoughts
Yeah,
before
what are your initial impressions?
Or you were
I logged into an ambush this week. It's like,
Unplanned. So I'd say it's an
No.
ambush of your own making.
I could be sarcastic and act like I was disappointed and all this, but no, I love this episode. This is exactly the kind of thing I would write, I would put together. It's exactly what I would look for from this type of prequels merging together with the Ahsoka character, merging together with, you know, this the stuff they've done. It had the action, it had no comedy still, but but it had the action, it had more action. And no, the music, I just wanted to say the music from the get-go. As soon as the title came up, Fallen Jedi, and that weird crescendo of instruments came
Oh
on,
yeah.
it
Yeah.
reminded me of the Mandalorian of how
Mhm.
that guy found that weird like piccolo flute or whatever and carved one and made the Mandalorian theme. Whatever he did, it was like a toy almost or something.
Right.
There was some weird samurai sounding music that was just phenomenal. It was creepy and intriguing, and then along with the title Fallen Jedi, I was immediately hooked. I was like, "Woo, are they gonna accelerate this thing?" Which is what I was hoping for. I was hoping that we get these initial villains almost out of the way, so that we could get to Thrawn for the back end of the episodes. That didn't quite happen, but it still felt like the stakes were higher because immediately people started clashing. There was a race against time. There was still things that didn't make sense. But overall, I don't require everything to make sense as long as it's quality and super entertaining. And I thought this made good use of the characters. There was a lot going on between the lines. I still would like to see some better dialogue than having to rely on interpreting what's between the lines there. But the actors are doing a good job of bringing weight and substance to those things that we can imagine that are being unsaid are almost more important than what's being said. But yeah, we had multiple big effect sequences in this. The runtime seemed better. I don't know if it was or not, but it was only like 40 something minutes. But
It was like
but
44
a lot,
minutes. Yeah.
but a lot happened. And I also want to say a big up for me was the Rebel Alliance or whatever you want to call it, the Republic,
New Republic.
actually had some characters with some spine, and their music was great, their optimism was great, the way they interacted was great, the way they responded to the call of someone saying, "Hey, let's just go do this because we feel it's the right thing to do." And I felt like we had some heroes to get behind for once, from the New Republic instead of just a bunch of drudges, you know, that I don't know what they're doing, that nobody seems to know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And they seemed pretty heroic and optimistic, which is what I want from my heroes.
Right.
And so it was kind of a break from the anti-heroism that's been going on, you know, with the Mandalorian and with all this stuff. We always know the Mandalorian's gonna do the right thing, but by no means would you call him an out and out hero, you know.
Right.
So it was good to see some heroes in action and some references to Kanan, and Jason was in there. And but the music, man, the music all the way through was just a home run. I felt like
Yeah.
it really brought me into it. An animated for lack of a better word, excuse the pun, animated a lot of the action and a lot of the stuff going on and push. Sometimes in these past episodes, I felt like the music was pushing a little hard to try to create some magic where the screen wasn't giving it to me. And this I felt like was pretty much perfect. So yeah, great episode. What are you gonna say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Besides all
it
that
was,
that I
my
just
favorite
said.
so far. But
Easily, I mean, easy. But when you're comparing a shiny, something awesome and shiny with something that's needs to be polished or whatever, it's an easy choice. But I don't think it was a
right.
huge triumph to make it say it's the best one. But it was really good. I wish they were all like this.
Oh, I do too. From here on out, they're all this level and above. But yeah, well, where do we want to jump in? Let's talk about maybe the stuff that happens in the forest. First of all, I know we've echoed in the past couple of past episode about how we like the design of that forest and the coloring and all that. It looks really really cool. So let's talk about the fighting that went on in there. Well, what did you guys think of that?
I want to
I
give
like
props
the
to Wang or whatever his name is, Huang.
oh
Twang, yeah.
yeah. The
His
droid
actual fight scene was
droid
pretty cool.
smackdown with that was
Yeah,
cool. That
that was
was
fun.
really neat.
That was
Yeah, that
fun
was
in
neat.
a lot of ways. The design was great. Everything that it was just cool to see him trying to defend himself and clever enough to send them a signal through the ship's hull. Although when the main characters came out, they were like 5 feet away and they should have heard the whole thing. So
Yeah.
that was what I thought was kind of funny. I was like, you guys were right there, and he had to send you that complicated a
They
signal. But
thought he was like pounding on the ship repairing it.
yeah.
What they thought was going on.
And I also will say one thing: the disconnect in this show is jarring sometimes, and it continues in this episode. Where I just feel like sometimes when they're filming the stuff, they don't have the proper direction to the actors of what's going on, because we see Sabine casually loading her weapons and checking her weapons. Meanwhile, they're in the hotbed of danger. I mean, they are on an
Right.
unknown planet and they're stranded, and they just leave the droid out there alone. Why? Why not stand there with him? What are they doing inside that's important? They're just wandering around the ship. And oh well, they were trying to get a signal through, but they know it's already blocked. So their casual attitude in this danger, I guess they've been through a lot of danger before, but kind of just trusting that everyone else is okay out of your line of sight in that situation seems like a real disconnect to me. But that's a minor thing, but that
Yeah.
continues though. It's like a
Yeah.
continuing trend in the show where I'm like, what are they doing?
Yeah,
But
I think you were trying to find an excuse to have Sabine and Ahsoka have a
yes,
conversation about Ezra and the map. So they were
right.
trying to slow it down there. But yeah, you're right. It does kind of disconnect from the whole situation of the danger that they're in. But I did love in the fight outside the ship too. Sabine actually getting to use her Mandalorian armor. That was one of the
That was
cool
very
things.
cool. She
Very
came out
cool. Yeah.
guns blazing instead of trying to be a Jedi.
Yeah.
They worked
Mhm.
together really well. That's the main thing I say about that forest fight. The first one with the thugs, whatever they were, was just there to show you how they can whip ass together. And
Right.
pretty much the bad guys. I loved Balin when he said, or when the witch said, they won't delay, the guards won't delay them long or whatever. And he said to the other two, but you will, or whatever, and sent them on the way. It's cool moments like that that really, really worked well and escalated it, because the fight by itself was not particularly special. The first one, I didn't feel like, but it just showed you how they work together with using the I love when Ahsoka lifted the guy into the line of fire to protect Sabine because she was
That
getting
was
wailed on,
cool.
her armor was getting wailed on.
Yeah. Yeah. That
Just
was
cool little
cool.
touches like that. And we knew we would get it, but they didn't dwell on it. They knocked it out, and then they said,
Right.
"Okay, let's begin the mission." And they had some urgency, unlike they had earlier when they were
Yeah.
taking a break or whatever they were doing, having their
Yeah.
coffee break.
Yeah.
Standard
The
operating
pacing was
procedure for
better.
Jedi.
Yeah, the pacing was definitely better this episode. They seemed to just kind of get on with it, which I know has been one of the main
Yeah,
complaints of the show so far. That just kind of belabor over everything before they finally get to it. And this episode, they finally seemed like they just kind of hit the ground running, which I was happy with. We did get one major answer to one of the biggest questions, like who is this masked figure, fighting with the
yes,
this
yeah.
Inquisitor character. Yeah, it
This
turns
seems to
out
be the
it's
main thing the
no
internet was obsessed
one.
with.
No
Yeah.
one. No one.
If you guys look around, that seems to be the main thing the internet was obsessed with, was Merrick.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Which I
No,
never
no
even
one.
worried that much about it. I thought he's either Ezra or probably nobody. But everybody had Barriss Ophi or whatever, and
Yeah, I thought it was
every single
Barisofi,
Jedi. Yeah,
but most of the internet thought it was Star Killer. It was going to turn out
Star
to be Star
Killer.
Killer.
yeah.
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 which is an interesting theory, but I just thought Starkiller was way too powerful to be this guy, unless
But
they
I
just
want to
retcon
ask
him.
you, why did he disintegrate when she chopped him? Does that mean he was an Inquisitor? Is that how they used to die in the
No.
other series? Like,
You're a
what
Clone
did it
Wars
mean?
guy, Corellian. You know what it means, don't you?
What's that?
Look,
What?
when he
What?
turned
Why did
into
he
when he turned into green
disintegrate?
mist.
Yeah, why
I
did he
don't
turn
know. I
into
mean,
one?
unless he was I mean, because of the green mist, I'm thinking it has something to do with he's a creation of perhaps
Mother
Oh, the
Talzin.
Dathomir, the witch?
yeah, the witches.
Morgan.
Morgan Elsbeth. Yeah, I couldn't think
Yeah.
of her name. That she maybe had some hand in like the actual creation. Maybe he was, because when he spoke, he almost spoke robotically, almost like he wasn't
Yeah.
like a human.
Yeah.
So I
Like a
have a feeling
projection from
maybe
somewhere else. Yeah,
because
the voice
anytime in
was
Clone
coming.
Wars, when someone who, because if you look at Maul, if you look at his brother,
Savage Opress.
Savage Press, when they, got hit or got, they like Savage Press got killed, all the green mist came out of him, and he
Exactly.
actually
Yeah.
shrunk down into his original form and size and personality,
He had that
over
awesome
time.
line, "Brother, I was never like you," or
Right,
whatever.
right.
Yeah, that was like a
So
last twist
I
of the
think
knife
that's
before he
that
died.
that was my take from it, that maybe it's going to turn out to be, maybe it was someone that, she had a hand in creating.
Yeah, and it could also
That
be a
makes sense.
leftover from even before that.
Right.
But probably the implication is she probably did it.
Yeah.
And I think people are just saying, "Oh, that's it for America," whatever. I don't see why she couldn't
Oh, she could bring him back.
assemble it.
Yeah.
She could summon him
Bring
back
back,
again.
yeah.
Now it might have to do with that armor. She might need some kind of talisman,
Mhm.
but she may have a bone of his body or something, that she's bringing the energy back with or something,
Yeah,
and just and
they have the
animating
power
whatever
to
she
raise the
wants.
dead. The witches have the power to raise
Yeah.
the dead. They had the whole story arc in Clone Wars where they had the undead witches after they were wiped out.
Yeah, they
brought them
brought
all
as soon
back.
as they dropped dead, they brought them up
They'd
to fight
immediately
again.
come
That was
back
like
up and
brutal.
attack. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
they considered it getting revenge, but it was pretty nasty way to get revenge. But
Yeah, exactly.
so anyway,
What about the fight
he was just
between
a guy.
Sabine and Shin? The fight between Sabine and Shin in that scene. You had Shin beating her, with the lightsaber, but then when she threw her with the Force, what? And Sabine tried to fight back with the Force, and that's when Shin realized she wasn't a Force
She
wielder.
wasn't using it.
So
Yeah, she
you
even
don't have power.
flinched, thinking she was going to be hurling
Yeah,
some
do
I
I
thought that
stone
was
remember
upon
super
her.
right? Do I
clever. I thought that
remember
was super
right?
clever. That was one of my favorite
Yeah, I
moments.
did
Did I
too. I
remember
Because
thought
she
right
it really
though
had
that,
fired
that
the
Sabine got
darts.
Sabine got up and fired the darts. Said you don't have power, and then she got up and shot her right in
Well,
the
no,
face
what
with
she
it.
did was she did this. She flinches like she was gonna get it. And she said, You're powerless," and then she just fired the darts
Yeah,
right from that same
yeah,
bang.
position.
yeah,
It's like, yeah, we Mandalorians have thought of all this crap already,
yeah,
Right, to
yeah.
counteract the
Yeah.
Jedi's force powers. Yeah,
But
exactly.
she basically did a mind trick on her, expecting one thing, and then pulled out the counter on her, which I thought was
Yeah.
showed you what a clever fighter Sabine can be and how
Right.
resourceful she can be. I thought it was they need stuff like that. They need to differentiate these characters if they're going to have combat. They need to show why they're good in combat, why they bring their individuality, their experience, and all this stuff to it. And that was pretty clever.
Should we
So
jump into the combat between Balin and Ahsoka, or
Mhm.
want to? Because that seemed
I do
like
want to
that was
say
yeah. Go ahead.
right before we start that, I thought the Merrick fight was awesome. I thought just
Yeah.
the intro where they're facing each other again. There's something electric when in Star
Oh
Wars
yeah.
when they tap into the samurai aesthetic and two
Yeah.
characters just face off,
I agree.
and it's probably gonna be a fatality because
Yeah.
lightsabers don't play
Exactly.
around usually unless you
One
get
of them
stabbed
is
straight
not
on.
leaving this fight alive.
Yeah,
Yep.
unless you get stabbed straight on or you lose a limb, you might make it. But yeah, I thought that was really cool, and I'm glad they kept Ahsoka's record pretty clean as far as Inquisitor types go.
Mhm.
She didn't. I would never say she had trouble with him. She pretty much wiped the floor with him,
Yeah,
but
I'd say
she
so.
respected
Definitely.
him. She didn't just he was a worthy opponent, but
Yeah,
he
she wasn't
didn't have a
dismissive of him.
chance.
Like, this is
Right.
not even a worthy battle. Yeah,
But
exactly.
I thought it was a good fight. But I thought that they stepped up the fights every step of the way here. There was at least three major fight scenes. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I
The
agree.
one with Balin I love because you were mentioning how they need some differentiation between the fight styles. It looked to me like he was fighting like with a kind of European broadsword type style. I mean, I don't know anything about sword
About
fighting or
actual fighting styles. Yeah,
but
I
it
don't need.
just looked to me like he was fighting like a European knight or something, and she looked more like she was using a samurai type like more katana type style. And it was real cool to see two really different lightsaber styles coming together.
I thought it was
So-
interesting because what I took from it too is that, to me, much like the way I interpreted what you're talking about, is that he just was moving with much more labored movements
Yeah.
and longer, slower motions,
Yeah,
almost like he was
hacked and
heaving a two-handed heavy sword.
yes,
You know,
yeah.
Yeah.
the way he was approaching the fight, it wasn't deft and skillful and quick.
Mhm.
Like a lot of the Jedi you see. I thought that was a pretty interesting take on his fighting style. I thought that was pretty neat, the way they combined that for the battle. But I loved
It
it.
reminded me of Vader, actually.
Yeah, I could see that. But
Yeah.
I enjoyed that lightsaber duel very well.
Yeah, the one
It
thing I'll
also
say
had
that
that.
again didn't make sense to me was they separated Sabine and Ahsoka. I know she was supposed to stop the transmission or whatever, and it did kind of
Yeah.
conveniently work out where she arrived just in time to delay it or whatever. But the droid did tell them, "Stick together, you'll thank me later," and
Mhm.
they just didn't listen for whatever. I mean, I know it made sense, go on ahead, I got this or whatever. But if they had stuck together, they could have just wiped the floor with the apprentice and gone to deal with this together.
Right.
But anyway, one of the cool parts for me in this fight was when is it Hati showed up,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
apprentice, when she
Mhm.
showed up and Ahsoka saw her, and you could see Ahsoka kind of get angry. And I
Well,
don't want to
she
say she
thought, she
used the
assumed
dark
Sabine
side.
was dead. Yeah.
Right. I don't want to say she used the dark side, but it sure looked like it.
Mhm.
And
No,
then
Mhm.
not
she
only
definitely was channeling a little bit of that, I think. Yeah,
yeah, I mean, there was definitely
because
it
her
was a
anger was
spike of
giving her
emotion.
power.
And what was cool was she picked her up and just slammed her head first into that obelisk,
Yes.
like not even messing around. Like, I'm gonna
That's
brain this chick,
that's some dark side stuff right
That was
there. Yeah.
brutal. I didn't expect to see her again, frankly, after that. But then not only that, but then Balin took advantage of that to get the better of Ahsoka, which went
Right.
back to the theme of dark side gives you power, but you lose your
But you lose
balance.
your balance. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly what I was
And
going to
he
say.
Yeah.
took it,
That left her
he kept
unbalanced,
his
and he
balance.
immediately
He kept his balance the whole
dispatched her.
time, and his center the whole time. And she lost it in that moment, and he took advantage of that moment. I think that's why he ultimately won that fight.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
I
I
think he
agree.
was really the star here. I mean, their dialogue, it was wonderful where he has depth, where he kept trying to call attention. She was just kind of blowing him off as like a villain who has ambitions to take over the world or whatever. You're going to start another war. Why do you want to start another war? And he seems convinced that he's doing something for a greater good and not just for the sake of personal ambition. And I like how everything he said underlined that. And then what he said to Sabine after forcing Ahsoka off the cliff underlined that he sees himself not as the typical villain, but he sees himself as doing whatever needs to be done in order to achieve something that is greater and better in the long run. And the fact that he kept his word to Sabine, when he wouldn't let Shin hurt her. And he just seems like he's a different type of villain than I'm used to in Star Wars. So I really, really like him. And he really shone in that part of the episode, not just in the fighting, but with all the dialogue that he had.
I think he had a really good point too when he said, you and your master have a dark history." Basically, he threw that in her face. She said, "I'm not here to talk about my past," but he was like, "I don't know. I think we need to talk about it." Because you come from something that, look where we are, and your master had a huge hand in that. And what's your part
And
in
he
this,
didn't want to fight her. Did you realize that?
Oh, I
She
think so.
was
Yeah,
the
I
one
agree
who
with
took
you.
her lightsaber out first. And he seemed disappointed and he said, "Oh, how inevitable." And then he
Yeah.
fought. And then at the end, he said, "It didn't have to come to this. Why but no other way," I think is what he said, which is a real
And that was
interesting
the first
statement.
time
No other way.
you saw him angry when he made those statements too.
Yeah.
She had hurt the apprentice, so he was mad about that. But it just reinforced something in him that I think maybe a little piece of him was holding back, and he was like, "Nah, I'm not gonna hold back anymore at this point," because he was,
So is he emphasizing
anger and
her that she's a
disappointment.
fallen Jedi too?
That's what he's
Because
saying.
the
That's what he's saying.
episodes often their titles have multiple meetings.
Oh,
Yeah,
multiple
so I
meanings.
think it's
Yeah.
not just
You
him.
could have referred to
Mhm.
the Ray Stevenson's character, could have referred to Ahsoka, could have referred to our special guest at the very end of the episode.
Right. It does to all of them. Yeah, I think
I think it encompasses all
literally
of
she
them.
fell.
Yeah, and she literally fell, but
Yeah. As soon as I watched that, you'll see in my reaction video if I ever get it to you. But I said no Jedi's ever died by falling.
No, exactly, absolutely not.
So, maybe she's the first because or the second if Mace Windu died because there I couldn't tell. Anyway, let's get to that point. But she tries to interrupt the thing by grabbing the golden
Or the
snitch,
the globe,
the snitch or whatever that thing is
ball
called from
thing,
Harry
yeah,
Potter.
the golden
Yeah,
snitch.
the golden snitch. She gets the golden snitch, and it's unlike in Harry Potter, it like is acidic or something. It was like super hot and burnt her hand.
Mhm.
And so she was kind of at a lot. You could only use one saber, I think, for the rest of the fight. Which she, I was expecting her to pull out the second one anytime. Does anybody else think that this is significant? She burned her hand. Like, is the map coordinates going to
I
somehow
hope
magically
not,
be on her
because I
hand?
think that would be super incredibly cheesy. Honestly, I've
Yeah.
heard other people online
Mhm.
theories about that, and I'm thinking, okay, this is not Raiders of the Lost Ark. This is not taught. This is not,
Yeah.
getting the coordinates for the Ark of the Covenant. Because this
It's
thing
way
doesn't
more
work that way.
complicated
It's
than
not like
that.
it's
Yeah.
actually printed on there. And you
No.
just grab it and I'll just read it.
It's
And
not like you're gonna have the map projected. We're missing one piece, and it's exactly hand shaped.
oh yeah,
Look,
look, your hand fits it
yeah,
perfectly.
like the R2
No.
thing.
If they go that route, then that's a real big problem for me.
And Ray Stevenson just keeps piling on the wins with this character. I feel like he's got the best dialogue, he's got one of the best costumes, best presence. And how badass was it when he took out the golden snitch
Oh
with his
yeah, that was
saber?
really cool.
Even the angle was like you just felt bad for that poor snitch. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
It took a minute for it to die fully, but it's like this guy seems to know what he's doing, like he's doing
Yeah.
everything with a purpose. We
He
don't know what
actually
it is
feels like
yet.
a competent villain.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Finally.
And
Yeah.
he I feel like he accepts that the heroes could thwart him at any point. That's just the risk he's taking. He understands, but he's in it, to see it through. And I think, like you said, I think it's almost tiresome for him that he has to kill people.
Yeah.
But he's committed. It's like if he fully comes out of his shell and unleashes, it's probably going to be way worse than what we've seen so far.
Yeah.
As far as power level or whatever you want to call it.
Agreed.
But what a cool villain though. This is the main thing I'm so happy about this episode is as we know it's a recurring theme with me. Please give me a villain. And how ironic that we lost the actor. It's a tragedy that he's gone first. It has nothing to do with any of his work or anything. His family, the people that rely on him and his loved ones and himself, but for us it's compounded by the fact that he finally gets this incredible role in the franchise that we love, and unfortunately time's up, just like that. But
so,
what a legacy to leave with this character though. I mean, so far he's amazing. So
yeah, the other part of the storyline before we get to the ending scene is obviously Hera showing up. We get her coming in to try and save the day. She goes off on her own, since the Senate refused to allow help. Like we argued last week.
Can I give a shout out there? Can I give a shout out there?
Yeah.
Can I give a shout out to this one chicklet guy, the one chicklet lieutenant who tried to stop her?
What can I do with my one chicklet?
Empty of chiclets. It was just like this big empty badge with one single dot.
It's like, you're not going to listen to me. I only have one chicklet.
Yeah.
And he had that
I've never seen a one chicklet
that old
guy,
school one. It's like cinnamon. It's like it'd be like burn your mouth if you chewed into it. That type of, talking about the circular cinnamon old ones. They weren't chiclets. They were something else. They'd freshen your breath, but just you'd pay the price of a hellish inferno in your mouth. Exactly. I almost expect him to pull it off his chest and pop it out and just take it. Like I'm taking this pill right now because it's no use for me.
Death by chiclet.
One chiclet guy, I love you.
Chiclet. Yeah, that was pretty funny. I loved the music.
Yeah, he tried.
I loved the music when Hera was walking across the thing right before the guy is yelling at her. The music just comes in all heroic, and they found a twist to the theme, which I don't know if it comes from Rebels or what, which just shouted resistance to me. It went right in step with Williams' resistance theme that he came up with for the sequel trilogy, which was great, and some of the old Rebel music and stuff. And it was stirring and heroic and optimistic and all the stuff that I've been waiting for from some of the heroes from Star Wars, and gave me a little bit of hope. Of course, they only had
Go ahead.
I was gonna say they only had 6 people with the balls to go with her, and like
Yeah.
three of them
There's
instantly died.
one of them, Carson Teva, right?
Carson
Was that
Teva,
right?
yeah.
Yay! It
He's
was
now
so
been in
good to
like
see
every
Carson.
possible
Mr.
Star
Kim.
Wars show ever.
He's gonna be the Wedge of television series.
Right, exactly.
I
He's gonna be
I
the new
just want him
Wedge.
to I just want him to like, I'm not going this time. Okay, see you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Have
for
fun with
Kim's
that.
convenience. Okay, see you.
Oh, but
Um,
can we talk about, you mentioned some of them getting destroyed? Just oh, that was
It's a good
so
scene.
ruthless. The
Yeah, that was
scene where,
brutal. Yeah.
yeah, where the
It's
ship went right through
yeah.
them, and I was so shocked. I was like, those people are dying. They're
Yeah,
I mean, it
dying.
shows you, it reinforces how powerful and how strongly this thing is capable of hyperspace, like to what degree, because just going to hyperspace wiped half of them out, just
Yeah.
the energy projected by it.
Yeah.
That's pretty intense. So I thought that was pretty cool too. That was a pretty interesting new
At
twist.
some point I would like to see the people that die, at least one of them have some kind of prior scene and stuff. Like they seem
Mhm.
to always do red shirts in these shows,
Right, it's always the red
which
shirt, so we
it's
don't know anything,
fine.
but never seen them until we see them die. Yeah,
Yeah, but what if they had a scene where it's like,
in the hangar before they leave,
yeah, or
Yeah.
something, just
Mhm.
introducing us to these
Yeah.
characters a little bit, where one of them is looking at a hologram from his wife or from her husband or whatever, saying, "You've done enough, come home," or whatever. And he's
Yeah.
like, "I can't, my friends are about to go do this. I got to back them up one more time," or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, just something silly so
It
we
would
can.
add a certain degree of gravitas
Yeah,
to it
I
for
don't even know who
sure.
they
Yeah.
were. I don't know any of their names or anything. So
No, exactly. They're just red shirt. They're Star Wars equivalent of
yeah,
red shirts. Yeah.
Yeah.
and
So
it's cool. They have all these shows where they can put in cameos like Favreau and Filoni and whoever, all the directors and stuff. But it would have been cool if they had built some of these pilot characters up in the background over time from all the shows, so that we would know who we were losing and who was surviving and all that stuff. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
But I thought the
Carson's really the
visuals.
only one they done that with.
I thought the visuals on the scene were pretty amazing. Were really well done.
oh
It
yeah,
was
very well
different
done.
seeing a hyperspace jump from the inside and everybody just spinning out of control. And
Yeah, it was really interesting. Really well
yeah,
done. Yeah, I agree. All right.
um,
Okay, so anything else we need before we get to the final scene?
yes, Sabine's betrayal. Real
Okay, yeah.
quick,
So you're
any
calling it a
thoughts on that?
betrayal. Okay.
Well, I mean, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah.
Or
Okay.
she
I
switched.
just
switched.
explain yourself.
Well, she was offered the golden snitch or whatever, or she was offered the hand to put the golden snitch in of the evil one, and she put
Mhm.
the golden snitch in his hand, which is according to all the rules of Harry Potter that I know you lose the game when you do that. You got to put
Yeah.
the snitch in the opponent's skull, not hand it to their keeper or whatever. So no, she really she didn't seem too upset that Ahsoka was apparently dead. I guess she just knows no Jedi dies from falling, but that was one thing. And then she, in this situation, she's listening to the offer from Balin, and I thought it was a very good offer, but I thought there's no way in hell she should have gone along with it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, no, I don't either. I just wondered if she couldn't have kept the snitch and found her own way with it. She had run off with it. Could she have
How is she going
found?
to get away?
Yeah, this guy's like, it's
This
like
guy,
Vader
Yeah,
standing there in front
yeah,
of you.
yeah,
he
you're
would have been
right. You're
dead.
This
right.
isn't
I
Rebels. I
found
mean,
You're
her.
right.
I felt like she was in just a no-win situation. That was
yeah,
literally the only way she could even survive this.
Well,
Was to
okay,
do what
then
she
I
did.
then I think she actually did the right thing, because I go back to something they said earlier in the episode, when Ahsoka first talked to her about the snitch. She said, I fear we face a difficult choice. If we can't make the journey to find Ezra, then no one should." And maybe Sabine knew this was the only way she could make the journey to find Ezra.
That's exactly what
yeah,
I was thinking the
So,
whole time I was
yeah.
watching the scene. Yeah, that she was thinking, if this moment goes and I don't do this, I'm never gonna find Ezra. I'll never
And
have a
maybe
chance to
she
do it
thinks she
again.
can find a way to compensate, to keep Thrawn from coming back, or to
Mhm.
thwart
I see
Balin's
your
plans, or
I see your
whatever.
point, but all that was a given in the conversation with Ahsoka. It was a given that you're not going to see Ezra again, and that was what the stakes were.
Mhm.
Was we can't risk anyone bringing back Ezra
Yeah.
if it means Thrawn has a chance to get back. So
Right.
I think she's in total defiance of what she was told to do. I mean, she knows she is, but she's choosing family over duty or whatever you want to call it, whatever her
Mhm.
master instructed her to
Yeah,
do.
exactly.
So, and she's putting, her and Ezra have beaten Thrawn before, and she's probably, I think she's even been prisoner of Thrawn before. So she has a slightly different perspective than we're seeing in this show. Unless you have that background, she has a little more nuance to judge the situation. But the thing is, you're opening that door. You're giving them the key. And it's also, nobody mentions it. Nobody says this, but it's what Ezra wanted. Ezra, nobody
Yeah.
was there with him, I guess. I don't know if I can't remember if he sent a transmission telling them I'm going or anything like that, but he caused that whole thing to happen. So
Yeah.
he chose to
It was
exile
his
himself.
choice.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So you're kind of negating his
Yeah. I don't think he
sacrifice.
would have wanted, yeah, I don't think that he would have
Right.
wanted them to come after
But
him for
things
his
could have
own sake.
changed, and he could be very grateful
Mm.
that people show up. So,
Sure.
because
Yeah.
Thrawn could have it all worked out and be ready to come back to this galaxy regardless.
Right.
That's another thing nobody's talked about, but I doubt it. But he could be sitting there putting all of his plans together for all these years, and it's like I'm just about ready, and I already have figured out how to get back. But anyway, I just thought it was interesting, and I was pretty exhilarated when she gave him the sphere. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it
Mhm.
was a cool choice
Yeah, I
to
agree.
go with
I
the
agree.
story. I wasn't sure what was going to happen there, but I knew you couldn't just end it here
Yeah.
too
Yeah.
early.
Right, of course. So we get to the final scene where we see what happened to Ahsoka after she was kicked off the cliff.
Can I say one more thing that I just thought
Sure.
of?
Yep.
Since you railed me earlier, Gundark, I will say that in one of our earlier podcasts, I said maybe Balin will offer Sabine a different path to the Force or something that she needs that her current
Okay.
Yeah.
master can't offer her that
Yeah.
will be intriguing to her and make her consider a whole different pathway for herself. And lo and behold,
Yeah.
That doesn't though keep you from having to eat your
sun shines
words.
on a tauntaun's
You
butt
still are gonna take that nice Chianti with the
once in a
snout
while. All right.
because we know what happened at the end of this episode.
I,
So
I will
get
I
to it.
will I will eat it as soon as Titus Welliver is there. I'm gonna make the reservations, and when he shows up,
That's right.
We
he can
will
sit there and
all
he
feast.
can order whatever he wants. We'll all feast. Okay, so the final scene. I'm sorry I interrupted.
That's fine. So the final scene, we find that basically Ahsoka has landed in what appears to be the world between worlds, and she gets up, and the first thing we hear is, "Hey, Snips," and anyone who's watched the Clone Wars knows that that's the nickname Anakin had for her the whole time she was his apprentice, and
Do you know where that name came from?
yeah, because she was always so snippy with him. She would always have like this
Oh, okay.
sarcastic comeback, so he started calling her Snips.
Cool.
So anyway, yeah, so she's immediately, of course, taken aback. She's just shocked, and you can see her one of the few times in this whole series so far that you see her completely let her guard down. That you can tell it's almost like she's 15 again, the way she's like that. It's Anakin. It's my mentor. It's my old like big brother basically. And so I thought that was a really interesting scene. I do think it was interesting that they chose to de-age him
Mm,
in this episode when they didn't in the Obi-Wan
yeah,
Kenobi episode. Which, if
yeah,
you think about the timeline, the scene from the Obi-Wan Kenobi scene would have taken place even before.
Right.
He would have actually been younger in that scene than he was in this one, but they chose to de-age him in this one, so I thought that was kind of weird. But
Yeah.
anyway,
yeah.
but
That was odd.
That's what made me suspicious of him. Was it looked almost too like an
He looked
idealistic.
uncanny valley.
Yeah, it looked like somebody
right,
said, draw Anakin from memory because he ain't here,
Yeah.
yeah.
and they came up with a projection of him that's based on her idyllic memory of him
How,
or
but
something.
well, maybe because he also, if you, here's the other thing I've got an issue with. Okay, we're in the world between worlds. He's been dead for several years now, and yet he's still got his mechanical hand, his mechanical arm, and he's packing his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Why? That doesn't make sense to me.
Where's the Jedi robe or whatever?
Yeah,
Right.
that's
Because
weird.
in Return of the Jedi, when he appears as a Force ghost, of course, maybe you don't appear as a ghost within the world between worlds, who knows? But in that, he didn't have his lightsaber. He had his regular hand. He didn't, he'd gone back just like you would in death. You'd go back to your normal human, form or whatever. But
But
yet now in this
she
thing,
doesn't remember him as having a hand though.
what's that?
She remembers him with the mechanical hand. So
True.
So maybe
that's
this is her
why.
memory rather
Right.
than
I think he's
anything else.
appearing to her in a form that she relates
That she
to most.
recognizes. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are the chances,
So
do you
what
think?
is this? Then is she dead? Is the
No.
world between worlds a place where dead Jedi go?
See, no, so far we don't
If-
know that. So far it's only ever been accessed by living Jedi that we've seen
That
in
we've seen.
Rebels.
But it would make
It doesn't mean it
sense.
can't happen. Yeah, it's just all
Yeah.
we've seen so
Yeah.
far is that it's only been
The
accessed by
Jedi go
living Jedi.
between existences, so they could walk these paths, I suppose. But
Yeah.
there's this old lore from one of the versions of the Jedi script, Return of the Jedi script, that Obi-Wan offered to Vader, turn back to the light.
Yeah.
When you die, you will not die. I'll be there to pull
Yeah.
you into this realm with me.
Mhm.
Basically, he didn't say it in those words. He said, "But I'll be there to escort you, to show you what to do. You won't be alone, and you will not become one with the Force." That's why this whole thing, everybody saying become one with the Force when they're talking about Force ghosts, always irritates me, because that's the opposite of becoming one with the Force. It is, you are not one with the Force. You are a higher being of yourself.
Right.
Perhaps part of the Force, but you are not one with the Force. One with the Force is mean going back to what you were before, part of the Force and losing your identity, which is one of the main things Vader feared, supposedly. So this could be an instance of Obi-Wan taught Anakin this. He's the one that kept Anakin from crossing over when he died in Jedi, and he was there with Luke and Vader when he died. And then Anakin learns this and grabs Ahsoka, when she's at death's door or whatever, and brings her to this place. Is she physically there, or is that her spirit? We don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Or is this a vision and she's floating in the ocean?
And is he physically there? Did he at some point discover a portal from his own life while he was living person
No.
before he became Darth Vader and go to that place?
No,
Why
but
is he there?
the closest thing you could go to is the Clone Wars episodes with the father and the son and the daughter aspects of the
Yeah.
Force.
Mhm.
There was
Yeah,
a
the
lot of
Mortis arc.
metaphysical
Mhm.
stuff there. Yeah. And my first thought when I watched this the first time was, oh, that's the son, I bet.
But yeah,
Because
part of
yeah.
me is thinking that it may turn out to be like, the son of Mortis in disguise, maybe as Anakin. Yep.
Because
Yeah.
they came to them in disguise as false visions, like
Mhm.
Qui-Gon was false
Right.
when he appeared
Right.
to Obi-Wan there,
Mhm.
and used their memories against them. And if I remember right, Ahsoka
And the
was killed in that episode, and the daughter infused her life force into her and brought her back to life,
Mhm.
and the daughter ceased to exist or whatever.
Yeah.
So ever since then, that owl has followed Ahsoka around because she's got energy from the light side of the Force, the persona that symbolized that inside her. So of course, maybe the son would want to come get that from her. He was obsessed with his sister, I think, too,
Yeah.
and trying to control her,
Yeah.
or get the energy for it.
Mhm.
So there'd be way too much to bring into this, but
I know that'd
think
be a
about it,
lot to for
it'd
a
be
new
impossible.
audience to.
Absolutely impossible.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
has to be
But
Anakin for those
if you
reasons.
remember though from Rebels, the temple where they first accessed the world between worlds, I think, didn't it also have
The
the
daughter on it.
painting of the
Mhm.
daughter and the son and the
And the
father
son and
on
the
it?
father.
And
Yeah. All three of
yeah.
Yeah.
them. Yep.
So
Yeah, I think it did. And
yeah.
this is just, you have to come back to how complicated they're going to get. And that's what a lot of these theories, Merrick is this, and
Mhm.
so is this and that and this and that. It gets just too complicated to explain in a show that has
Yeah.
15 lines of dialogue per episode or something, and half of them are
Yeah.
about, I'm going to repair the ship. They're not about, have you heard the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise?
Yeah.
And I'm about to dump a shitload of exposition on you, so get ready. But I thought the de-aging was horrible. Other people may feel otherwise. I don't know, but I thought it took me out of it. I did not
It
like that.
wasn't great. I don't think it was really that well done. No, I agree.
Yeah, leave him alone.
Yeah.
Why can't he just be older?
Yeah.
He can appear if
Look
he's a
fine.
Force
And
ghost.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
anything he
Especially
wants.
because the character can be older at this point. What difference does it
Mhm.
make? Yeah.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to appear to her as last she saw him, you know.
No, and I'm sorry, Anakin coming up to me and smiling like that, looking like that, he just looks like a psychopath still to this day. You know, I'm afraid of him. I didn't like, what, dude, what, you know, what do you want? I thought I paid you that $40 back already. You know, why are you here? So he just looks like he's about to, you know, consult with some of the Jedi younglings about what we do next when we're outnumbered. So if he came back looking older and more, you know, like softened, kind of
We
like
might
Hayden is
trust him
now.
more.
Yeah, it'd be like, oh, okay, Anakin, yeah, cool. You've had some life experience. You stopped slaughtering younglings and stuff. You did your
No, you're
time.
right.
You
Maybe
did your
it
time in the
added more
mechanical
to the
prison.
uncanny element of it because that was one of the things that was really cool about that scene. The way it was shot, it seemed so mystical. You know,
Mhm.
with
I
the
did not know what
wonderful
was
bird's eye
happening.
view shot. Yeah, when it moves from the
Yeah.
water to her lying there, and you're like, "What the heck?" And then
We can
like,
joke about the world between worlds, but I had no idea that's what it was. I really didn't. I was like, what?
Oh,
Yeah, I
I
thought it was the
like immediately
ocean.
thought, well, we're at the world between worlds.
Yeah, I was
yeah, I
behind.
did too.
I was
Yeah.
just behind. I was like, because I was still dwelling on the last scenes. You know, I was like, oh, this is so cool, whatever. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I guess we have to see what happened to her too.
All
But
right,
yeah,
let's a couple more things. Let's do our ratings, our MVPs, and then our forecast for the next episode.
oh, good Lord.
Who wants to start the ratings this week?
I'm going to give it an 8.5.
Okay.
I cannot believe. Okay, we match 8.5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And I
Woohoo!
can't believe that for the first time ever, I'm giving a lower score than both of you.
Oh, really?
I'm actually going 8.0. Yeah, I'm giving it an 8.
Well, if you
Love the
notice,
episode, my
Ahsoka,
favorite so far, but I still think there's room for improvement. So
when she took the dive, she didn't quite straighten
Yeah.
out her form before she hit the surface of the water. So we
right,
have to
that's
deduct
otherwise I would have given her
half a point.
8.5.
Right. Some say the Leku get in the way of the cliff diving, but
Right. All right, so MVP of the episode,
Balin.
Balin. Yeah, I
Balin.
agree.
The end. The end.
The end.
And I would actually give Hera a runner up. I think
Yeah,
she
yeah.
was great.
She was a
Yeah.
close second. Yeah, so I really am enjoying her character in this. I wish they would feature her a little bit more because she's only being used in little clips here and there. But every time she's on screen, I'm like, this is great. You know, I want to see more. You know, of what they're doing with her character.
Yeah.
So, okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm hoping
all in
now that
agreement on
she'll
the
join.
MVP.
She'll, yeah, maybe she'll join with Ahsoka to. Maybe she'll join with Ahsoka to go to the other galaxy now. So maybe she'll have much more of a bigger part than we thought she would. Now that
It's looking
Ahsoka's been
that
left
way.
behind and she's separated from
Maybe,
Sabine.
yeah, yeah.
They
Well,
may hold the fort on this end, and so that they
that's what
can
I'm kind of
they can
thinking.
warn the galaxy if Thrawn shows up coming back, because this looks like a two-way street. Like you're not gonna. I mean, you probably have to follow the same path back, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would think so.
If it's a migration route from these
So
whales.
for forecasting the next or where we're going from here, what I'm thinking is I think she's going to use the world between worlds to get to the other galaxy. I think that's how that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think that's why they put her there.
Yeah.
That's why they left without, because they're all gone without her. She can't get there. She doesn't have the coordinates. Even if she had the ability, she couldn't get there. So I think that this world between worlds is going to be a convenient portal that's going to be, oh yeah, well, we're going to put you right out there and they're going to all be shocked when, how did you get here? She just shows up, that's what I think is going to happen.
Because he did totally destroy the whatever the thing was,
the golden
map,
snitch, yeah.
and said that nobody could follow us. So
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Well, I think since there is no world between worlds in the show, I think that's highly unlikely to happen. But no,
You would
kidding.
rather have it a map being
I'm kidding.
scalded onto her hand and taking her.
No, I do think Anakin will say, once he trains her in whatever he came for, which he may train her in how to keep your identity or something. But once he trains her, she'll say, but what do I do now? How do I find Thrawn? Everything you need is already in the palm of your hand. Yeah. And be like, dun dun dun. But I'm sure the theories are going crazy. But anybody else watch Dragon Ball Z?
I did way back in the day. Yeah.
It reminds me of the Kai, the path of the Kai. When every time Goku dies, he just has to go down the spiritual path.
Yeah.
And he finds enemies and allies and all that stuff, and he powers up and finds new training. It's very much reminiscent of that for me. But it made me wonder what other characters she might come across if she, like if she does make a journey in this thing. There could be Guardians. There could be she could run into Luke. She could run into Obi-Wan. She could run into. I mean, this is a multiverse now.
Right.
And I think Ewan McGregor's shown he's game for anything, you know. Mark Hamill has made a big deal of saying, I just don't see any other use for Luke. You know, I don't think they need him anymore or whatever. And he could be just going,
exactly.
I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. I don't think they want the shadow of any more Skywalkers over anything. But I'm just saying they've got that door.
Well, they just brought a Skywalker back into it.
Yeah, but this is a different Skywalker. It was the
different Skywalker,
yeah. It was the redhead stepchild Skywalker. It's just so unfair that it's like Hayden is one of the most well-preserved actors out there, and you're gonna de-age him for no reason.
I know.
Like, what? Leave the guy alone. Let him have his own hair. He doesn't have to wear a wig or nothing. Just he's dead. He's he can age whatever he wants.
He was fine de-aged in Obi-Wan. I don't know why they.
I thought it was a little creepy. I thought it was a little creepy in Obi-Wan.
I mean, he wasn't de-aged in Obi-Wan, right?
He wasn't.
I felt like they just
didn't de-age them.
They just shined him up a little, and I thought it was a little too much. But no, in this there's no doubt. Just let him play him. Just let him play the character without the stuff in between. We don't need. But maybe maybe he'll materialize and become fully something else, or say, I don't know. You let the guy do his thing.
Okay, so that's it. What are our predictions about him? What is he going to do with Ahsoka? What's going to happen next week?
I honestly have no idea at this point. I thought we were only going to get him in flashback form. So I have no idea what they're going to do with him in real time.
Yeah, I'm flabbergasted now. I was expecting a flashback
because all my instincts are saying he's evil. He's some evil force, and it's not really Anakin, or it's Anakin's leftover evil Vader spirit or something, because they've shown that the Sith spirits can have some kind of hollow echo after they're gone. But what would an evil Anakin do in this story? I have no idea. So but a good Anakin, I almost feel like they may skip ahead and not show us what happened. Because so many mysteries would be solved with these two characters meeting and airing things out. And just hugging it out or whatever, like so much would be relieved that it would be crazy to almost to go there for real, because a whole lot of this coiled inside of Ahsoka. This making her who she is now is linked directly to this guy, their history, and does she come back a completely changed person? And how are they going to play that and everything? Because it'd be like going to therapy and they just. There's there's all the things that you needed therapy for just right there, and then the first thing you get it all done.
But this also has the feeling of the hero going to the underworld for a trial. The hero undergoing a trial and meeting someone, searching for someone from their past life that they have to make some type of closure with. So it could be like her trial is going to be next week. We're going to get some kind of development in her, and
it could be about action and movement instead of about dialogue and exposition.
I'm hoping that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if her dialogue didn't set up what's going to happen to her next week, and her dialogue in her own mentoring with her Padawan, when she said at some point you have to act against your own personal feelings, whenever it's a greater good. And so I think she's going to have to make some big decisions that way herself. I mean, that's something easy to say, but when you're faced with doing it,
I also have the impression the other way they could go is that Anakin will want her to stay there and be like, he's kind of detached from what's going on.
Yeah.
Because he's dead.
Right.
And he's at rest. He's at rest, and a lot of his darkness is gone. So the conflict is gone for him. And she's going to have to say, because he said, I didn't expect you this soon. It's cool you're here. Let's go do some stuff or whatever. I'll show you around. And she might be like, look, this is cool. Great apartment and everything. You got your shit together finally. It's cool to see, murdering kids and stuff. But I got to go back. Can you help me get back? And she'll be like, oh, you don't want to do that. You don't go back there, do you? And she may have to convince him to show her how or lead her or whatever to the
But
path to get
it
back.
could also be her opportunity to save her master. The one thing she's felt so much guilt about walking away from him, she felt to some degree responsible for his fall.
Yeah.
So this might be like offering her an opportunity, like what happened with Ezra, that Ezra jumps through the portal and saved her. Maybe she's going to have an opportunity to jump through and save Anakin, and she has to make
How?
a decision as to whether or not to take it. I don't know, but the world between worlds, she could go back to a different time when he's in trouble and try to intervene.
Luke saved
You see what I
Anakin.
mean?
So
Yeah.
you already have.
But I mean, she still feels that guilt. She could go back and prevent it ever even happening.
Well,
You
she could
see what I
absolve
mean?
herself.
That's a whole
She
different
wouldn't actually
show.
save
Yeah,
Anakin. She would
see,
absolve herself.
yes,
Yeah.
see, and I think
Yeah.
that may be the decision she has to make, because that's a personal thing
Yeah.
for her, and it's not necessarily related to the greater good. It may be the greater good as to how it actually happened. And
Yeah.
part of what she has to realize maybe is that she has to come to peace with it having happened that way.
Well,
There's nothing you
and
can do
the
about it.
economy of script writing and stuff too. I think what Balin taunted her with is key to what's going to happen next. He said, "Your legacy, you and your master's legacy, is death and destruction," or something like
Yeah.
that. That's all you guys know. So she almost now has a judge sitting over her in the form of Balin, that she has to show through her actions that she's a true Jedi, and
Yeah.
that still means something, you know. So I think that that's what's going to be. Which she denies even being. Everybody denies being a Jedi now. It's a
Yeah.
cool thing to do, but
Yeah.
but I think she's going to have to come back and show, put that legacy into the proper place. That you may think it is death and destruction, but Anakin destroyed the Emperor. Without him, that would have never happened. You know, the Emperor would have continued to rule.
Yeah.
And I'm here for a reason. I'm his disciple, sent to continue that mission, and that's what I'm going to do. It's going to be something like that, you know. It eventually comes down to a battle of philosophies, and when your enemy taunts you with a specific thing that you have to overcome or whatever.
You're gonna have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, the script, it's in there for a reason, right? Otherwise, why would they
Yeah.
write the lines in there? You know, it's not like normal life where we talk about 100 different things and one ends up being significant. So anyway.
All right. So that's episode 4, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what's coming up with episode 5.
Yeah.
I know there's rumors that it's got an epic runtime, and that's why they're releasing it in theaters at the same time as it's going to be premiering on Disney Plus. So that'll be we'll wait and see what happens with that here in a couple days.
Anybody gonna try to go see it?
I'm not. From what I
no
understand,
place
it's
close.
free, and all the things were taken immediately.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I it wouldn't fit in my schedule anyway. Unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to do it. So, but anyway, but hey, thanks for watching. Let us know what you think down in the comments. If you're enjoying the show so far, if you like this episode, if you have a theory on which direction you think things are going, let us know down in the comments. Like, subscribe. Thanks for supporting the channel, and we'll see you next time.
And just pile it on if you feel like it. Just follow Gundark's lead. Just
Pile it
crucify me
on.
while you're at it.
Pile it on the road.
Might as well.
We're in full support of that here.
He's gonna need it.
I paid for my lack of vision. It's like the episode before the whole thing hit the fan. I'm like complaining that it doesn't exist. I'll never live this down.
Before I go, I do have to show you. All right, guys.
I'm gonna go de-age myself and
yeah, can we go de-age myself and look creepy and
exactly.
Yeah.
Hi, Cantina. That'd be really weird. Yeah, super weird.
Hey, Snip.
Yeah.
Make it stop.
Hey, shout out to the Cantina Club from voice actor Anna Graves from Star Wars The Clone Wars, the Duchess Satine, Suki the Bounty Hunter, Master Tipley and Tiplar, and Senator Mina Tills. May the Force be with you.